side after me, please. Arabhya saptaman masa labdha bodho pivepitaha. Okay. Arabhya saptaman masal labdha bodho api vepitaha naikatraste suti vatei vishtha bhur iva sodaraha. Arabhya saptaman masa labdha bodho pivepitaha naikatraste sutivate vishtha bhuriva sodaraha. Arabhya saptaman masa labdha bodho vepitaha nekatraste sutivate vishtha bhur iva sodaraha. Arabhya saptaman masa labdha bodho vepitaha naikatraste sutivate vishtha bhuriva sodaraha. Would you like to recite? Can you read this? Arabhya saptaman masa labdha bodho pivepitaha naikatraste sutivate vishtha bhuriva sodaraha. Well, I'm very proud. Otherwise, my handwriting, even I cannot read sometimes. Let me just see if I can move this a bit closer to the microphone. Okay, word synonyms, translations and purports by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arabhya, beginning. Saptamat masat. Saptamat masat. From the 7th month. Labdha bodha, endowed with consciousness. Api, although, vepitaha, tossed, na, not, ekatra, in one place, aste, he remains, sutivatehi, by the winds for childbirth. By the winds for childbirth. Vishtabhuhu, the worm, Eva, like, Sa Udaraha, born of the same womb. So beginning from the 7th month, endowed with consciousness, although tossed not in one place, he remains by the winds for childbirth. The worm, like, born of the same womb. So that's why this verse is very intense verse. Translation: thus endowed with the development of consciousness from the 7th month after conception, the child is tossed downward by the airs that press the embryo during the weeks preceding delivery. Like the worms born of the same filthy abdominal cavity, he cannot remain in one place. But at the end of the 7th month, the child is moved by the bodily air and does not remain in the same place. For the entire uterine system becomes slackened before delivery. The worms have been described here as Sodara. Sodara means born of the same mother. Since the child is born from the womb of the mother, and the worms are also born of fermentation within the womb of the same mother, under the circumstances, the child and the worms are actually brothers. We are very anxious to establish universal brotherhood among human beings. But we should take into consideration that even the worms are our brothers. What to speak of other living entities? Therefore, we should be concerned about all living entities. Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But I said this particular verse is very intense. That's why we read our prayers first. In this verse, the whole of Vedic civilization is compressed. Where bodily designations does not exist in the Vedic way of life, Sanatana Dharma. In every other philosophy books are sectarian. Other religious books like the Bible or the Holy Quran are not sectarian. But people have made it sectarian. The numbers game. Whereas those who follow Srimad Bhagavatam, those people, the great fortunate devotees of Krishna, they follow a dharma, religion called Bhagavad Dharma. Srimad Bhagavatam has its own dharma, Sanatana Dharma. It is this gift by Srila Prabhupada to mankind of non-sectarianism, where this particular verse and the sequences of these verses are shining examples of it. So in this verse, a related translation again, thus endowed with development of consciousness on the 7th month after his conception, the child is tossed downward by the airs that press the embryo during the weeks preceding delivery. Like the worms born of the same filthy abdominal cavity, he cannot remain in one place. So in this verse, the very last word of this verse, the 4th line, Sodaraha, is very, very important. Sodaraha is a sandhi, is a mixture. Sandhi means it's a mixture of two words. First is first is sa, and then second is udaraha. Sa means the same. Same. So English word same has come from the word sa. Udaraha means the womb. So in the womb of the mother, a child is taking his shape, being born. Along with it, because of the filth that exists in the abdominal cavity, in the womb, there are so many thousands of worms who are also born of the same mother, the same womb. So here this verse says, Srimad Bhagavatam says that way all the worms and the child, they both are brothers. Who will say like this? Who will even think like this? It is astonishing, really. When I read this for the first time, I was blown away. I said, wow. So the child born in the womb of the mother, and so also other living beings like worms born of this filth in the womb, they both are brothers. That's right. Brothers mean what? Born from the same womb. This is non-sectarianism in true sense. This is dynamic. This should bring complete change in our consciousness. And the great need for us to understand this and make people understand this Bhagavatam. And especially Srila Prabhupada's translations and purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sodara. And the Jiva, the living being, is not called boy or a girl. They are called Jantuhu in the previous verses. Jantuhu in our normal vocabulary would mean insects or some fallen, some very lowly Jantu. Here the living being is called Jantuhu too. So what are we proud of? We saw last week that the living being, the soul, takes shelter of a small particle of the semen of the father while entering the womb of the mother. And then throughout the week we saw how that particular embryo develops. Now we are coming at the stage where the childbirth is about to happen. We saw that while the child is being born, the unborn child, is in complete misery, total misery. All these worms are biting the child's thin skin. And it's in so much pain, the unborn child, that he even from time to time, he falls unconscious. And we don't know. The father obviously doesn't know, and the mother also does not know. Externally, we don't understand these things. But the child is suffering, and also the mother is suffering. Is it not so, the mothers here? Of course they are happy. The mother is happy, the father is happy, but they are suffering. Constant pain and agony. There's morning sickness. So many changes happening in the body of a woman, with a child in the body. And it is astonishing to see that when a woman is pregnant, at that point in time, for those 9 months, that particular one body has got another body in it. So there are 2 souls and 2 super souls in that body of the mother. How fortunate it is. That's why they are very special. So yes, materialists also take care of pregnant ladies. But spiritualists take special care because of this fact that this is the only point in time whether it's soul and super soul. True of that. Now, two words afterwards from this verse, from the verse number 12 onwards, that's from if somebody is doing class tomorrow, and on Sunday, so from Sunday, the special prayers are going to begin from verse number 12 to 21. These are the prayers of unborn child. The child is suffering. He's being tossed and turned. Here you see, seventh month is tossed and turned. Before that, the child is put in a bow position, like this, inside the womb of the mother. Cannot move. And Srila Prabhupada mentions very correctly that how many of us can be like this, in this condition throughout 24 hours? For so many months, 9 months? It is only by Krishna's mercy that the winds push the child from the embryo down. The child is born. This particular verse talks about it. All this is happening inside the body of a woman. The child suffering, woman suffering. But everybody else are enjoying. Just see the irony of life. But the biggest thing is, the Supreme Father, the child starts to pray to Krishna, and it is recommended that any devotee or any woman who is pregnant should sing these prayers during the pregnancy. But we have to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Father of all living beings. He says, Sarva yonishu kaunteya Murtayah sambhavantiyah tasam brahma mahad yoni aham bija pradah pita. In chapter 14, Krishna says this. He says, it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material world, and that I am the seed-giving father. Sarva yonishu kaunteya. Sarva means all species, everywhere in life. No? Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Pradapita. Aham, I am. Bij means seed. Pradaha means giver, father. Pita is father. He is a supreme seed giver. And that is realized by the child who is still unborn in the womb. How does it realize? By the pains. Constant pains and suffering. As I already said, the child is in so much pain inside the womb that many times the child feels and goes unconscious. Again regains the consciousness. Again becomes unconscious. Total suffering. But still, when the child is praying, after the child is born, the material energy is so powerful that the child forgets about all these prayers and what he promises to Krishna. He says that I am promising you, Krishna, that I will worship your lotus feet. I'll never forget your lotus feet. And I don't want to come in this material world in the womb of any other mother anymore. Please help me get out of this misery now. Please help me. So at that end of the prayers, Krishna allows the child to come out of the womb of the mother. Now, see the irony. The mother suffers throughout the 9 months of pregnancy. Is it not so? Mothers here will agree. At the child birth, the pain is so excruciating that a woman actually dies and comes back to life. Am I right? Those who had natural childbirth, who heard it, I've heard it from so many people. The pain is so excruciating. And the child comes out with the head out first. In that pain and excruciation, total chaos going on. The mother is crying, the child is crying, and the father and outside they all are smiling and happy. The father's parents, the mother's parents, uncles, aunties, everybody is laughing outside. The moment inside the labor room, when there is childbirth and the child cries, everybody is happy outside. And the elders tell the father, go and get some sweets, distribute the sweets. Here the mother is crying. How would people don't cry so badly if they are so happy? Is death and coming back. Childbirth. And the child is in so much pain, he doesn't know, he cannot breathe, can't breathe, cannot breathe. So many things going on in all these things. This is the irony of life. Our own people, when we are born, when we are crying, they laugh. This is the irony. Is it not so? They are happy when we are crying. Only Srila Prabhupada can teach us this through the transcendental page of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why this particular verse is very intense verse. It gives us 3 tight slaps to understand that this material world is completely wrong. From the very beginning we are taking birth. Otherwise, mother cries for a childbirth with pain, the child is crying because of the pain, the father, mother, everybody should be crying. But doctors say, congratulations. You got a daughter or you got a boy, congratulations, all are happy. It's like if adults, supposing adults, if I am walking and if I fall down and all of you laugh at me, I'll feel a bit sad, man. I'll feel a bit offended. If you clap your hands, if you lie and distribute sweets, if somebody has fallen down, he's got broken his hand or something, it'll be so obnoxious. That's what we do at the time of birth. This is material world. How wrong. From the first stage, from the first step, material world teaches us, gives us a kick on our teeth. And because of misery in Maya, when our children grow up, when they are in this labor pain, and when they give birth, when they are crying, when a child is born, we are laughing. We do the same thing. Foolish, really. Is it not so? Completely foolish. Childbirth is a good thing, is a thing for happiness. Also, we should give some time and spare a thought on the misery of taking a birth again. A devotee should be reminded that never again this child is born. We should make sure that a child doesn't take birth again in any other womb, because he will come out crying. Every child comes out crying. Is it not so? And if the child doesn't come out crying, the doctor is slapped to make the child cry. At the bottom, cry, cry. Nobody comes out laughing. Only fools who are outside the delivery room, they laugh at the misery of their own children, own wife or daughter or sister. I become uncle, I become father now, I become grandfather now, I become uncle now, I become mama, I become a kaka, I become an auntie, I become grandmother. Oh, wow, clap your hands. We are like small children in the material world. Foolish, number one. If we have not understood this after reading Srimad Bhagavatam and with Srila Prabhupada, then there is no hope for us to go back to Godhead. No hope. This verse is very intense. You see, material world, Krishna has created this Jagat, and he has got his energies which controls us, binds us, which makes us forget about him and forget his reality. Imagine this, after knowing this, would you really want to take birth in a womb of somebody, of a mother? Or if a child is born of a womb of mother, of course you will be happy with childbirth, but you will also be sad to say how much pain and misery the child and the mother has gone through. And the father is happy. The mother, many times I've heard that at a childbirth in the labor room, she curses the father. She said, you enjoyed, I enjoyed, but I am suffering. You are not suffering. Why? This is an unfortunate situation. Yes, mother. Everyone. But animals don't understand. Humans can understand. That is right. This process for everybody, all living beings. But humans should understand. Animals don't understand this. Animals don't understand this. That is the reason why this knowledge of Bhagavatam has to be digested, and we should make every effort to let other people get this knowledge who are innocent. But they are not innocent, really. Foolish. We are born foolish. That's what Prabhupada says. We are all born foolish, fools and rascals. That's why we have to go to the school. But in the school also they don't teach these things, do they? They don't teach these things. So obnoxious. Our life is real misery. Real misery. That's why nowadays the doctors say that husband, you should also be in the delivery room with the mother. So you will see what's going on. So next time you will have some empathy with your wife. Otherwise you are living in cuckoo's land outside, man, dancing when they are crying and really dead inside. I remember one of my friends, he said, I was in the delivery room, he said. I said, okay, wow, I told him, great stuff. He said, then what happened? He said, then I fainted during the childbirth. The husband fainted, the father fainted. He said, I cannot see blood. I said, wow. So he's completely oblivious. The child is born crying in misery. The wife is cried in misery, and the husband is fainted. He cannot see this blood. But again, the mother says at the childbirth, never again will I be pregnant again. I don't want this misery. All right? The child prays, never again I want to be born in the womb of a mother. But again, the woman gets pregnant. The husband, even after seeing the misery of his beloved wife, again they are indulging in sex. She becomes pregnant, again childbirth, again problem. Why like this? Why even after seeing this, even at the time of we feel that the lady has gone to death and come back at the birth and the pain, husband sees this misery, but at the same time, after 1-2 years, again they go back enjoying themselves in the bed, and again she is pregnant. Again she is suffering. This is unfortunate birth of a woman. She suffers the enjoyment. The rascal man doesn't suffer. Sorry, not rascal, but man doesn't suffer. He is a rascal. Yes. If a man doesn't understand it, he is a rascal. Man should understand this. He is the guru of the family. He should take responsibility for this. That's why in the Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, Rishabdev says, don't become a father, don't become a guru. Guru na shishyat, pita na shishyat, janani na shishyat, devam na shishyat. He says, don't become demigod, don't become father, don't become a guru, don't become a mother, don't become relatives. Don't become anybody unless and until you cannot deliver your dependents from the cycle of birth and death. How beautiful. This is Bhagavatam. We have to follow these Mahajans, these great Acharyas we must follow. Why to be born? But we don't. Maya clutches us. This is very beautifully explained in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Daivihi esha gunamahi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. See, beautifully he says, Daivihi esha gunamahi. Daivi means transcendental. Gunamahi means these 3 modes of material nature. Krishna calls these 3 modes of material nature Mama Maya Durataya. He said, my Maya. So Maya Devi, the inferior energy of Krishna, And the three modes of material nature, Krishna says this is Daivi, it's transcendental. How can the three modes be transcendental? Three modes, and we know it's inferior. Maya is inferior. Mameva ye prapadyante, Maya metam tarantite. It is very difficult to overcome these three modes in this material world. Even though you are suffering, you don't know you are suffering. But he says, Maya metam tarantite. He says, Maya, unto me, those who surrender, I'll take them out. So we as devotees say, yes, let me surrender. That's right. But we have to surrender completely with full intelligence. Now in the translation and purport, Prabhupada, this particular purport is revolutionary of Bhagavad Gita. Really, 7:14. Prabhupada says, this divine energy of mind, Krishna is saying, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Now in the purport, Prabhupada writes, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of his energies and are therefore divine due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal spiritual superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya Baddha, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult. Even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material energy is ultimately conducted by the Supreme Will, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirm that as follows. Mayam tu prakritim vidyam, Mainam tu Maheshwaram. Although Maya or illusion is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwar, the supreme controller. This is from Shetashvatar Upanishad, chapter 4, verse 10. Another meaning of guna is rope. Daivi Esha Gunamai. Guna means three modes of material nature also. Prabhupada says another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. The man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He cannot be helped by a person who is. He can be helped by another person who is unbound. Because the bound cannot help the bound, the rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of the illusory energy, can order the insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causeless mercy of the surrendered soul and out of his paternal affection for the condition or for the living entity, who is originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature. The words Mam Eva are also significant. Mam means unto Krishna or Vishnu only, and not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajaguna, that is passion, and Tamaguna, that is ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya, and therefore he alone can give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas, that is Shvetashvatar Upanishad 3.8, confirms this in the phrase Tam eva viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnur eva na samshayaha. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here Krishna says that although living being is being beaten at every step in the material world, suffering, and although he prays to Krishna, get me out of this, Krishna, I will not come again to the material world, he still is victimized by the material nature. Although inferior and the jiva is superior, still the inferior energy of Krishna covers the superior energy. Why? Because of the supreme will. Here is the answer. This is the answer. Because people will say that if the spirit soul is superior to material nature, why material nature has got influence over the superior soul? The answer is here. He says, Mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Mameva ye prapadyante. He says, it's mine. Daivihi esha gunamayi. Mine. This is divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is mine. Because of the touch of Krishna, the proprietor of everything in this material and spiritual world, because of that, we as infinitesimal jiva, spirit soul, are under the clutches of Maya. So, with this discussion, I would like to conclude my presentation today, that the living being born in the womb of the mother is suffering, along with all the different brothers in the form of wombs, in the form of worms in the womb, who are still giving him pain. So even before birth, our own people are giving us pain. The child is suffering in the womb of the mother is suffering bearing the child. When the child is born, the child suffers, the woman mother suffers. Others, their own family members, they are happy. Such an irony. And the same thing continues throughout the life. And Krishna consciousness means to come to our senses. First become human beings, then animals. We should come up to the level of human beings. Animals don't understand these things. Human beings can understand these things. And with it, then we can chant the glories of the Lord through the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And we can express our love by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Srila Prabhupada has given us all this formula. And very easily Prabhupada takes us out from the clutches of Maya by surrendering into Krishna's lotus feet. As we have originally prayed in the womb of the mother. We all have prayed these prayers. So let us chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once and conclude our discussion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Would you like to say anything, all of you? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.